Hello, I'm Billy Duffy from The Cult, and you're watching me on Noise11.
Billy Duffy from The Cult at Noise11.com. Welcome.
How do you do?
And a new Cult album.
Yep.
Choice of Weapon.
Yep, comes across. It's like every leap year, seemingly, we manage to come up with a record or so.
Well, if you wouldn't mind doing one every 4 years, that's a pretty good output.
That'd be an improvement for us, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Somewhat of a surprise, I guess, because your mate Ian was commenting a couple of years ago that there would not be any more Cult albums.
Yeah, that's Ian for you.
Yeah.
There he goes, being Ian.
He wasn't too serious then?
I think it got a little taken out of context. I think he just meant that he could see what was coming, which was pretty much the death of the CD as a format. I mean, it's not dead yet, but it's he could see that was going to end, so yeah. I think he just was kind of tired of the idea, which is why we did those capsules. He just didn't want committing to make a record that has the quality that we want to put out. Isn't just the 10 songs, it's the 10 songs you throw away, and the ideas you get rid of, and it's a lengthy process. And I think once you've been around a bit and you've made several records, I mean, certainly for us, we just don't want to do it and feel like it's a job. We want to feel excited about what we're doing, so it just takes a while to go back to the well and come up with another good. You go down there and you want to come up with some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, an album used to be about the complete body of work, and as we've moved into the digital age, it has become about the individual songs. And like you said, you released the capsules there, and kept the fans. Well, that was
yeah, exactly. That was the idea of that, and Ian was very passionate about that concept of pushing it out there. And we've kept the capsule because we felt good about the songs we wrote after that. We kept the capsule as it is, so it's just going to be like a bonus little thing, because it was really fairly hard to buy. The capsule really was always going to have some degree of exclusivity, and we wanted it to be something that kind of came and went, and people missed it, and were kind of it creates a little legendary status. But it's going to be available in some kind of like digi special pack, So yeah. But it's not integrated into the album. And
in the studio, working with Bob Rock again.
Yeah, it's always a treat working with Bob. He's like a good friend of mine, and Ian's, and he's always, by hook or by crook, he always ends up on most Cult records nowadays. And it was an interesting thing. It's just the way it rolled out. It wasn't anybody's plan or intention, to do it with two producers. It's just I think we got as far as we could with Chris Goss. I think everybody realised that. And we probably could have finished the record with Chris, but I just don't think we had the time available, and Bob came in with a sort of a fresh perspective, and having had 3 prior albums experience with the band, he knew what buttons to press to maybe get me and Ian to kind of make the album sound complete.
We're only a couple of years away, maybe 18 months away from the 30th anniversary of the Cult. Yeah,
apparently. I'm not counting, but
have you thought about that yet, or will you have any plans for it?
Well, I think with the Cult, the balance in the band, I mean, if there's any nostalgia with the band, we try and do it with like a lowercase n, so we're about the new music. We don't go on stage and not play the old stuff as well, and it's about balance. And I think if we do this record, I think Ian, who's the main guy who has to kind of emote what he's doing on stage, I play guitar. It's a little different when you're a singer, and I think he needs to feel that he's satisfied his creative side, and then we can go and do a little bit of nostalgia and celebrate the past, as long as there's a present and a future for the Cult. And that's really the thing between me and Ian. He's trying to navigate that, which was great. That's with the Love Tour. He was very comfortable doing it. It was an idea that I actually put to him 5 years before we did it, when the band wasn't even together. I actually saw him at a soccer game, and we were playing, and I said, do you fancy at some point playing the Love album at the Albert Hall? That was the only thing. It wasn't a tour, or it was just like, I think it's the 20th anniversary coming up. And he kind of sat with him, and then 5 years later we did the 25th anniversary. So we're up for it. There's talk of electric, doing an electric tour, which would be fun, I think, for a lot of people. Particularly in the United States, maybe Australia, where the electric album really had a lot of impact. The Love album was more of a European, UK. To me, the real response on that the next album, Electric, was the one for Europe, for Australia and America and stuff.
Yeah, because I always find it intriguing when a band spends so much time doing an album and then sequencing that album,
Right.
and then shuffling all the songs and going out and touring. It's like when you did the Love tour, you actually put it all back into place.
For me, that was a great relief. I mean, that's definitely a special album for the Cult. I think to me, it's the most special Cult album. There's a certain magic in it. It captured I mean, to me, it was like the springtime of the band. Everything's promising. You know, there was a lot of freshness and excitement and newness, and we hadn't been, you know, it was very fresh. It was like I can't really describe it other than a springtime record for me. And it was great to play that. And I always go back there, and it's kind of like when you play Sanctuary. You know, that's a song to us that we never tire of playing. We'd never been a complaint or a grumble by anybody ever about playing She Sells Sanctuary live, and that's been going on for a million years now, playing it. You know, we do it at every gig, and we're happy to do it. You know, it's one of those songs, and I think that embodies the kind of the essence of the Love album. It's very playable, it's very natural, it very organically happened, and which isn't to say our other records aren't as good in my mind. They're just different guys made them at different times who had different experiences, you know.
And you must feel that energy from the audience when you do Sanctuary as well.
Yeah, it can be incredible. There was a gig we did in England at the Isle of Wight Festival last year that truly was, you know, emotional. As somebody once said, the response was quite unbelievable for that song, because it's a song that brings together people from all different kind of walks of life and stuff. You know, it's still a song that's active, it's out, you know, there's a mashup of it with Flow Rider out that was on it was a Budweiser commercial. Like now, it's out on, you know, it was on the Super Bowl, it debuted on the Super Bowl. That song has a life that's way beyond anything that me and Ian can control. We just put it out there and it kind of, you know, does its thing apparently.
I guess the Cult is very much Billy Duffy and Ian Astbury now. There are a lot of ex-members in the band.
Well, I mean, the band in essence started in a room a lot smaller than this with me and him and a guitar and just a lot of passion and ideas about working together and a kind of a friendship. And, you know, if it's about Billy Duffy and Ian Astbury, it's just that we're the creative force of it. But without the other guys in the band, you know, we don't sound that great as a duo, you know what I mean? So right now we've had a very stable lineup. We've had the same, you know, guys in the band, and we have an additional live guitar player, Mike, who's been playing with us on and off since '93. You know, it's a stable lineup. It's like family, you know, we try and keep our family together, and it's been working since 2006, which is coming on for, it's clearly the most stable, longest lasting lineup, because we went through drummers, you know, quite a lot.
Oh yeah,
you know, for all the reasons that you would get through drummers, you know, and you know, we have a casualty list.
But quite some very high profile, famous drummers in there as well.
We played with
Matt Sorum?
Yeah. Matt's still a good friend of mine, and he did quite well for himself. Michael Lee, bless him, who passed away recently, he ended up playing basically with Led Zeppelin, so that was pretty good. Mark Brzezicki, he's great, the big country guy, who actually, his contributions to the Love album shouldn't be go unmentioned. You know, his drumming in that combination with those songs really brought another element to the Cult at that moment, because we'd lost our drummer. You know, we'd lost another guy, Nigel, who was unfortunately a heroin addict, so he became non-functioning in the band, and we had to let him go. And you know, we've had those little stories. You know, you get a few war stories when you've been around a while, and but also we had Jamie Stewart. I mean, Jamie was an integral part of the band. You know, he kind of was that guy in between me and Ian. He was like the sensible, kind of slightly detached guy. You know, who didn't actually write the music, but he was an incredible musician in that he could play like cello, flute, piano, and he ended up playing bass in the Cult. Both his parents were in the London Symphony Orchestra, but me and Ian wrote the tunes. You know.
Yeah. What about with you know, we're talking about the former members at one point, you know, when the band wasn't together, Ian would often join the Doors. Did you ever get to see Ian fronting the Doors?
No, I saw him on the telly he did some TV show with the Doors, and I saw him do a song. I thought it was a great fit. But me and him actually played with the Doors before that ever happened. We did that VH1. They did that Doors.
It was special, yeah.
Yeah, and they had like Weiland and the guy from Creed and the guy from Train. All those guys, a bunch of guys sang, and I got to play as well because we did a song. It was really connected through Danny Sugarman, who was a good friend of Ian's and mine, and before he died, and that's kind of how we met our current manager, who was involved in the live side of the Doors, and we're kind of connected, and like any good sort of Northwestern English band, you know, we have a healthy respect and admiration for the Doors. They're still one of my favourite bands.
What about Led Zeppelin? How influential were they for the cult?
Pretty. I mean, I think they've been influential for everybody. I mean, they wrote the book. Their first two albums, you know, wrote the book, and then the fourth album was kind of like the, it was almost like. I can't really describe what that album was like growing up as a kid. I think for everybody who was kind of my age group, you know, it was that was like a legendary. It was almost like a biblical epic. That album, that was like, how do you make a rock album better than that? It had everything, you know, it had every element that you could possibly want. So, you know, thank goodness for punk, you know, because that shook it up. Because you really, after Led Zeppelin, you know, you had glam, which I enjoyed a lot, but punk and the Pistols really kind of re-energized rock music. I think it's in some respects for the benefit of everybody, you know. So that's kind of my thing with Zeppelin. But I mean, that's why Ian liked me. You know, he was in Sudden Death Cult, and he was in the singing in a support band for the band I was in, and saw the short hair, the image. It wasn't like some long-haired guy with a strap. It was like a whole different thing, and that's really what we were about, is trying to find our own voice. In the 80s, you know what I mean? Think about it. How'd you follow punk? Where'd you go from there? You've had Led Zeppelin, you've had Jimi Hendrix and the Doors, you've had Elvis, the Beatles, the Pistols, and then we were the fans of all that, and the 80s were kind of like challenging, if you know what I mean, to do something fresh. You know, there's a lot of exploratory work done, so.
Yeah. Well, the new Cult album is Choice of Weapon, Billy Duffy from the Cult. Thank you for joining us here at Noise 11.
Oh, my pleasure. Good chatting with you.